Gentlemen, to House of Footy. We are back again with another episode continuing our coverage of the FIFA 2022 World Cup in Qatar. I'm Ray, your host for today, and I'm joined today by Mac
Good evening.
and Gio.
Good afternoon.
And on today's podcast, we will be previewing the rest of the games for the round of 16. When I say the rest, that means we did preview the first two games that are taking place at the time of recording Saturday. So you can definitely go back and listen to those. Before we get into it today, don't forget to follow us on our social medias, both on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is at @houseup_footy. Also, don't forget to rate, review, and get in touch with us. We love hearing from you guys, and we want you guys getting involved. Our email is houseoffooty@hotmail.com. Lastly, we are now uploading House of Footy YouTube videos, so please, if you can, like, comment, and of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our content. The link for that will be in our bios on both Twitter and Instagram. But let's get straight to the first game taking place after we record. France versus Poland. That's going to be an interesting game, I think. France going in sort of favorites, finishing first in Group D with 2 wins and a loss. And then Poland finishing second in Group C. Basically the same record as Mexico, but they made it through on goal difference. Now, France did lose their last game in the Group against Tunisia 1-0, and Poland did lose against Argentina 2-0 in their last group game. So I guess both teams going into this one not in a winning form, but I think it's fair to say France should be favorites for this game. What do you think?
Absolutely. In my opinion, I feel like this is probably, even though it's an argument if is France the best team on paper, I think arguably this is the most lopsided tie, and we're starting it off with it. Second, of course, to the game that's in recording that's happening today between Argentina and Australia. So definitely, France should be heavy favorites. In terms of the individual matchups, I think Poland have it very, very tough just to even figure out ways to create something offensively. So for me, I think they'll need not a lot of luck and Wojciech Szczesny, former Arsenal legend, current Juventus goalkeeper, to stand on his head and absolutely steal a game if they have any chance. So I think that's where you pretty much start and finish with Poland's chances in this game for me. But overall, kind of I would agree with absolutely with what you said, is that France are heavy, heavy favorites.
Okay, I guess same question to you, Gio. Just before you give your opinions, I just wanted to mention that France did get a chance to rotate a lot of their players against their loss against Tunisia. They still dominated possession, and Poland didn't look that great against Argentina when they really wanted to get a win to finish top of that group. So, Gio, your thoughts?
No, I agree that France is the heavy favorite. But we can't discount that this was probably the most dangerous striker that France has faced up until now. Again, although Lewandowski hasn't been the type of the Lewandowski we're used to seeing in terms of in a Bayern shirt or even in a Barca shirt. He's been putting away goals, but I just don't think Poland just has enough in terms of the midfield to really facilitate to him. So with that being said, chances are gonna be, very slim for him. So they really have to take advantage of the chances they do get. But other than that, I think France as a team just dominate, whether it's from the back, the midfield, or their starting three up front.
Fair. Noted here, Mac. Zelinski and Lewandowski are tied with 1 goal apiece for Poland, but apart from that, I think they went 2 games without scoring. I guess on the flip side, though, Mbappe is the leading scorer for France. I guess those are sort of 2 players that or Lewandowski and Mbappe are 2 players that you're looking at to perform for their teams to get a win. Or are there other players that you're looking out for to perform well?
I think if for France, you want to be able to look at Mbappe. Generally, of course, I think we all know that he's probably best in transition on a counter, utilizing his pace, being able to get at certain teams. Where if Poland play well enough in a very, very low block, that'll be very difficult potentially to be able to break down and to be able to cut through. So you need both Mbappe, who's good in kind of those transitional moments, but more so, in my opinion, is probably a bigger piece is the other 2 players in the front three for France, which probably in all likelihood would be Olivier Giroud and Ousmane Dembele. Dembele has been the creative force, taking players one on one and putting balls in the box for players like Giroud and Mbappe to be able to latch onto. And I think that will be very, very key because in a game like this where it may not be as open for Mbappe to be able to kind of create something and it via probably his favored manner, you would need players that, in terms of a creative sense, and of course Giroud creating space, winning headers, bringing other players into the box to be able to create opportunities. I think that more so in this matchup will be key for them. So you want to make sure they perform well if you're France, and vice versa Poland. You have to play well in that low block because if you try to be able to get at France and try to create opportunities and get on your front foot, you're more susceptible to get taken away on the counter. So for me, I think Mbappe may not have the greatest game because that'll probably be Poland's 100% focus. But those other two players, if they have an opportunity for me to show up for sure.
Okay. I guess for Gio, Argentina dominated Poland. I guess it's just flat out what happened in their last game. France is going to be the same. And I would argue for sure France has better wide backs, at least on the left-hand side that Argentina had. And they really relied upon that. So Theo Hernandez is going to have fun against that back four, I think.
Easily.
And so I guess, yeah, like you said, Poland will have to really just look out for their chances. But do we sort of expect a similar game to what we predict, like Argentina and Australia to be? Or do you think anything different would happen?
I think in terms when you compare the quality, I think, Poland's not gonna completely kind of fold over and let kind of France sort of dominate. I think they're gonna sit in the low block for as long as they can and sort of absorb the pressure and really trying to just go for a counter. Similar to what the Netherlands did if you listeners have watched the game this morning while at the time we're recording, they did very well at that. Obviously the quality is a little different and the level of opposition is quite a bit different. You just got to do what you really can, and I think the game plan going in should just be absorb pressure, send the ball long, maybe let Matty Cash run up and down that line, maybe see if he can cause some trouble, whip balls in, and pray that Robert Lewandowski's on the other end of the ball.
I think what Gio's saying there is key in terms of balls in. I think if Poland are going to get anything out of this game, it's probably from a set piece goal. So that's what I'll call in terms of their most likely opportunity because they have big, strong, essential defenders and in midfield as well. Even though Zielinski is probably a little bit more of a softer core, he's very good on the ball, has good delivery, and he probably will create opportunities either via him or Metakash for other players. They're more physical players to latch onto. So they have to be superb and perfect defensively and hope for, in my opinion, a kind of a fortunate set piece opportunity. That would be my game plan if I'm coaching Poland.
Okay. Obviously, we're discussing what could possibly happen, and I have to mention it. Giroud is tied with Henry for the goal scoring record for France. So my question to both of you is, let's say this happens. There's a penalty given to France. Mbappe, I think, may be the penalty taker, but Giroud is potentially, if he obviously scores one more, overtakes Henry. On the flip side, Szczesny has now saved 2 penalties in the last 2 World Cup games. I'm looking forward to that. What do you think, Gio, should happen? Should Giroud take the penalty, and do you fancy Szczesny coming up with another save if there's a penalty?
I would definitely stick to my guns and go with Mbappe. Look, Giroud will get his chances. Don't get me wrong. But there is still a World Cup to win. Records can wait. I think the biggest record France is worried about isn't about Giroud passing Henry. It's breaking that World Cup curse.
Right.
So that's much more important if you're talking about records or things being broken. If I'm Giroud and I even draw the penalty, I'm handing the ball over. I would even put Griezmann ahead of him if Griezmann is on the field. I would let Griezmann take it as well. But yeah, no. There's much more important things to check off the list.
Okay, Max, same question.
I hate this question. It's situational. It's situational. If at that point France is already up 2-3 nothing, then why not, right? And they have nothing to lose at that point. So I think it depends on the time of the game, the scoreline of the game, and if it's at, let's say, 2-0, and Mbappe does give it to Giroud, I think that shows a lot of quality actually in terms of understanding the situation. The team camaraderie. Even though they did lose the game against Tunisia, they played almost everybody else that made the squad. They tried so hard to play everybody. They played Kamavinga at left back, who normally plays in the central midfield position. So they're really trying to build that camaraderie between the team, and I think that could be a good show of a moment and kind of a good credit to the work that he does. But at the end of the day, if the game's on the line, no shot.
Okay. Just lastly, and thank you for entertaining me for that question. I just wanted to ask that personally. I guess last question for this game. Odds to advance. France are negative 1100 and Poland are positive 575. That obviously means France are the favorites. But I guess, Mac, question to you. Over or under 2.5 goals for this game? What do you predict?
I would go over 2.5 goals for just France themselves.
Ooh.
Like, don't even need Poland to score. I think this game finishes 3-0 for France quite easily. Maybe 3-1.
Okay, comfortable one.
But probably 3-0.
Okay, Gio, same question.
I'd say about 3-1. But yeah, definitely over. I think again, France, sometimes it looks like they kind of like turn it off and they kind of go to sleep for a little bit and let one in. Almost kind of what happened against Tunisia. But yeah, I can see France just putting away 3 themselves very comfortably. So yeah, I'd definitely take the over on that one.
Okay, lovely. I think I would agree with you guys too. So let's quickly move on to the next game taking place on Sunday at 2, I believe. England taking on Senegal. England finished first in Group B, 2 wins and a draw. And Senegal finished second in Group A with 2 wins and a loss. I think, though, this game might be a little closer than most people would expect. I think England are still favorites, but just based on the performance from Senegal, and I have to go back to the England tie against the US, keeping it very, very just shutting up shop at the back and making sure that they don't concede. It might be a slower approach to this game. Gio, what do you think will happen in this game?
I think England will have a lot of the ball, which I think most people can agree with, but you can't count out Senegal's athletic ability, physicality, and their speed as well. And that's how they've gotten a lot of their goals. And again, they have a decent back line as well. I'll give them credit there. England should not come into this game expecting an easy win. Senegal are gonna fight. And like I said in the last one where I was just recording with Mac, Senegal still want to prove a lot. The team without Sadio Mane, right? And they've done well. Ismail Sarr, who obviously has been in the Prem, so he understands a lot of these players that he's playing up against on the England squad, just because a lot of them are from the Prem. And Koulibaly as well. He understands their physicality, and I think he's up for the challenge. And that goal kind of almost did him wonders in terms of the confidence level because he hasn't been really performing as well for Chelsea. A goal to contribute for the team in any way possible, I think, does wonders for his confidence. And I think it'd be a lot closer, like you said, almost maybe a 2-1 or a 3-2. It won't be a huge difference in terms of the goals.
Okay, I obviously want to give Gio that chance to get in before. But Mac, tell us how England is going to completely dominate this game.
Very, very simply. So let's use the copy paste formula from the Netherlands Senegal game to the England Senegal game, because I think it's going to be very, very similar. I know Netherlands played today. They very much played on the counter, but against that game against Senegal, they dominated the ball, kind of shut them up where they weren't able to really create anything, and they looked completely lackluster, in my opinion. I think England can do something very, very similar in regards to possession. Even though the game against the Americans, for large sections of the game, it had strong possession. The difference would be is that the midfield of the Americans had a good job in terms of applying a press, applying a counter press, making sure that they do win that ball back. Whereas I think the core of Senegal is a little bit softer in terms of the midfield. than let's say the American team. So if we're going to use that comparison between the two teams, I think what will be very, very interesting is that, and I think we'll kind of know from the start is Southgate's lineup on the wing. I don't know, Ray, if you're going to ask that later, but in terms of the wingers who would start for England, I think we can solidify Marcus Rashford probably on the right hand side with Kane up top, of course, who is still yet to score, and Rashford being tied for the leading goal scorer in the tournament. So I feel like that's a natural fit there that they probably have earned their places. The question is the other way. I'll be very interested to see what happens there. Is it Foden? Is it Sterling? Maybe Rashford moves to left and you have Saka. I can think we all can agree it won't be Grealish. He is always the 70th minute sub. So that for me is the interesting part. But I feel like England will end up winning this game because they're able to dominate possession, as well as be in a position where Senegal are not going to be able to get out and be able to attack them enough. And eventually, once that first goal goes in for England and Senegal stretch even further, it's just going to be easier and easier. And I think this could, not as much as the France-Poland game, I think this could have a good separation in terms of a goal spread between the two teams, in my opinion.
Oh, I very much agree. I think actually very much how, if listeners, you watched the Netherlands versus the US game, and what we previewed the England-Iran first group match, if you guys remember so far back, we thought England really, to get obviously a positive result, need to score first and need to get settled early in the game. So I think England will be looking to start as quickly as possible, get on the front foot, and if they can get a goal in the first maybe 20 minutes, that's really the way they will be successful. And to that point, I think interesting question about that front three, and Gio, I guess I'll ask you the same question as well. I think though it should be Rashford and Kane, but I actually think Rashford should play on the left and Saka will have should play on the right, just based on his performance. Even though he didn't play, I think, as much in the last game, he has been that first game he was a standout performer for England, and really you do need that sort of ball carrier as well. I think we were talking about it off the podcast that Rashford will be looking to play more in behind, whereas you need the balance where Kane and or Saka will be more so like the players that are looking to get at the feet and then drive the ball forward. So I think they need a good balance, and that's how I would start if I was England. But Gio, I guess same question to you. What do you think about that lineup?
I'd be fine with whoever they pair with Rashford, just because I think, I mean, with Kane and Rashford being almost a lock at this point, well, obviously you don't know what Southgate's going to do because this guy is just some screws are loose in there for sure. But no, I just but yeah, no. I think it doesn't really matter who you start on the other side of Rashford. I just think because Rashford is guarding so much attention right now, the other starter on the other side is going to have a lot more open space because I think England are going to want to attack through Rashford, kind of have the offense go through him, and he's going to want to slide into the middle, and Kane's going to want to drop a little more. As long as that happens, I think there's going to be plenty of space for the other winger to really operate and take up open space and really just wait for that long ball that they're going to receive. I would want to see Foden, just because he's just magic. Because I just find England, when they struggle sometimes, they almost lose that creativity and it's like completely gone. And I think Phil Foden with the ball is just a little bit more creative than, say, Saka is with the ball. I think Saka is great at crossing the ball. He's good at finding the guy in the box. But I think in terms of even having to drop back a little and create on his own, I think Phil Foden does take that edge there. So I would start Phil Foden.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, can't really go wrong with Foden either. So it'll be interesting to see what England do. But on the flip side, it'll be interesting to see who they start at right back. Mac, you mentioned here, obviously Ismail Sarr is the standout attacker for Senegal, and they're going to be looking to supply him to create chances. On the flip side, though, on the right back side, I think they started Kyle Walker in the last game. Trippier had started the first two games. And Mac, you mentioned Trent here, but obviously I don't think he's part of the picture. I think it should be Trippier, just based on he's more so been starting the last couple games. I know Walker did come back, but because he's been coming back from injury, I would definitely go with Trippier based on his performances in the league as well as the first two games. But Mac, do you have something different for that?
I would disagree with you, just probably for this individual game. The only difference would be Trippier does offer the option in terms of free kicks. I think that's probably his biggest advantage plus side in this individual game. But I would be worried about the pace in behind, because even though I think he is an above average defender, he's really good on the ball, and offensively he is able to be very creative. Sara is just a different type of challenge with this pace, his ability to take players one on one, and that's something I would trust more so to Walker, given what he's able to do. So I personally think that Southgate will start Walker, and otherwise there probably wouldn't have been as much of a need to take him off in like the 70th minute in the last round of game, because against Wales he only played just under 70 minutes. So I think that was more so to look ahead to this next game. Let's get him back in, and actually brought Trippier on to put as a left back. So I would actually not be surprised if, let's say, Trippier comes in as maybe a halftime sub if England aren't performing well, for that left back spot for Shaw instead. So that's more so how I think he might be involved. But the key part is that, offensively for Senegal, I know we're focusing a lot on England, is that that's probably their only outlet. He's going to be kind of a baby Mane in a lot of ways, where going into this World Cup, you would hope both of them on either wing, you can attack from either side. Really, I don't see, even though he's only scored one goal thus far, and it was from a penalty. He has been, in my opinion, their standout offensive player, just in terms of the ability to take players one-on-one, to be able to create opportunities for himself and his teammates. So I think if they're going to get joy out of this game or pick up on a result, he has to perform exceptionally well.
Okay, and that being said, Gio, just reading out the odds here, England are negative 450, Senegal positive 290. So England are favorites, but same question, I guess, about the goals. Do you think there will be more or fewer than 2.5 goals in this game?
More.
Ooh!
What's a
Two.
like
Wait, 2.5? I'm not. 3-2.
3-2.
3-2.
So you think Rashford gets 3 goals? I assume that's what you're going with.
No. I think Kane will get a pen. I think Kane will get.
Okay.
And then Rashford will have one, and then Jack Grealish would have one.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to go under. I think England win 2-0. I don't think Senegal has enough offensively to be able to create against, in my probably the most consistent backline thus far this tournament. It's weird to say with an English team. Each individual player, they've played well. Maguire, Stones, Shaw, and whoever's filled in at right back has been really, really good. So I think England will just snag it 2-0. Goal early on, maybe a goal in the second half, and call it a day.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be more cagey, and so that's why I think as well might be under. But hey, if it's anything like that Netherlands-US game, I'm all for it. I do want to see an open game, but I don't think it'll fit England's sort of approach. So that's why I think, just because they will be likely the team with more possession, that's why I think they'll just dominate the game more and keep it more, safe at the back. So, I mean, we'll see. Still, England are favorites, so definitely we'll be covering those two games that we just spoke about in our next podcast. So, come back to hear our review on that. On that note, we're going to take a quick break here, guys, and then we'll be back with more round of 16 previews. So, stay with us.